Welcome to the root of all success with the real Jason Duncan, a podcast that explores how the world's most powerful entrepreneurs unlocked success and how their stories can help you do the same. A successful educator turned entrepreneur, Jason has built multi-million-dollar businesses that have been featured in Inc. magazine and Entrepreneur magazine. His life's mission now is helping entrepreneurs live what he calls #the exit lifestyle. Introducing TEDx speaker, mastermind leader, author, entrepreneur, cigar aficionado, motorcycle enthusiast, and host of The Root of All Success, the real Jason Duncan. The real Jason Duncan.
Hey there, welcome back to another episode. I am the real Jason Duncan. Thanks for being here with me today to listen to the show. It's very important for me to let you know how much I appreciate you listening, because without listeners, the shows like this, the podcast doesn't work. So thank you for taking time today, whether you're in your car, you're out walking the dog, you're working out, whatever it is that you're doing today. Thank you for taking time to listen to the show. Today, it's just me. We're going solo today. I got some conversation I want to share with you around the concept of delegation. And so for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, remember, you can watch all my podcasts on YouTube at youtube.com/therealjasonduncan. I have a whole playlist just dedicated to the root of all success. You can see that I'm not at my normal studio. Today, I'm actually at one of the companies I own, Energy Lighting Services in Hendersonville, Tennessee. We're doing some work up here with some folks on my team. And so I'm doing the show from my training room here. So hope it looks nice. The little wood wall behind me is kind of cool. But I want to talk about delegation. Delegation is your key to freedom of time. Without learning to delegate, you're never going to be able to live the life that you truly desire as an entrepreneur. And that's a fact. You think about billion-dollar and trillion-dollar companies like Apple and Google, Steve Jobs, for example. If he never, ever delegated, we would not know his name. And we wouldn't know Apple the way we know Apple today. You don't become a trillion-dollar company as an entrepreneur by doing everything yourself. You have to learn how to delegate, how to give tasks to other people. But it's not just about assigning tasks to other people. No, there's a whole lot more to it. In my experience as a business coach and a speaker all these years, I have run into very, very, very few people who not only know what delegation is, but also practice it correctly. I thought I knew what delegation was. I started a very successful company, what turned out to be a successful company back in 2010 as an unemployed school teacher. And I didn't learn how to delegate until much later in my career as an entrepreneur. But it was when I learned how to delegate that things truly changed. So in today's show, on the root of all success, what we're going to do is we're going to dive in to the very simple 6 steps that I call the training wheels to delegation. And these 6 steps, if you will put them into practice, will begin unlocking freedom of time for you. And I think that's what you want. I mean, when you started your company, isn't that what you wanted? You wanted freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of energy. You wanted to be your own boss. But if you're like most entrepreneurs, you're stuck in the daily grind of operations, doing everything yourself, making all the decisions and carrying out all the tasks. So I'm going to show you today how to learn to delegate. I'm going to first start with saying this. Delegation obviously is something that most people think they know, they don't know. But here's why I am in business as a business coach and why I work with clients who are very successful, who hire me and pay me a good sum of money to help them get to the next level. It's because they don't truly understand delegation. And once they truly understand it, that's when life starts changing for them. That's when their business starts opening up. That's when things start changing. So if you happen to be one of these entrepreneurs out there, you're doing between 3 and 10 million on the low end of revenue, you've got at least 10 or so employees, you could qualify to be one of my coaching clients. And I only have 3 slots open. I only take 7 per year. I've got 3 open right now as of the day of this recording. And if you're interested in that, all you need to do is go to therealjasonduncan.com/coaching and apply to have a call with me. And that call you and I will go through what it is you're trying to accomplish, what I can do to help get you there, and to see if you can, in fact, qualify to be one of the clients that I help learn to delegate, but not only delegate, but do everything else you need to do to exit without exiting, begin living the exit lifestyle. So let's dive into delegation. Now, I call these the the training wheels of delegation. And here's why I call them the training wheels of delegation. If you're like me, I remember learning to ride my bike when I was a kid, and my dad bought me a Schwinn Spider, and it was the coolest little bike. It was kind of gold color, kind of a dark bronze gold color. It had like a banana seat, and it had the curved, like almost like ape hanger handlebars, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I remember getting that bike and having, my dad putting it together, my grandfather on the front porch. They were putting this bike together for me, and they put training wheels on it. Because at first, when you learn to ride a bike, like any kid, you don't have the ability to balance it. So you need some help. So the training wheels, they of course get attached to that back wheel, and it allows you to lean just a little bit to the right, just a little bit to the left, but it trains you on how to get that balance so you can ride the bike on your own. And inevitably, what'll end up happening as you go through learning to ride a bike is your dad or whoever will take the training wheels off, but he'll kind of hold the back of the seat and run with you down the road or down the sidewalk. And that's what happened. I remember very clearly, it was on Setliff Place in East Nashville, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, where I grew up. And my dad took this training wheels off that morning, and I was riding down the sidewalk without the training wheels. Dad's holding on the back of the seat. And I remember that one time we were going faster than we'd ever gone before. And we got to the end of the sidewalk, and I was so happy that I'd ridden so fast on that sidewalk. When I stopped, put my feet on the ground, I turned around to say, "Dad, that was great." My dad wasn't there. He was still at the other end of the sidewalk next to the house. And I'd ridden that whole way down the sidewalk without my dad holding the bike. I tell you that story because I know you've got a similar one and you understand what that's like. What I'm telling you today in this show on the training wheels to delegation, this idea of what I'm going to show you, these 6 steps, is not what you're going to do permanently. They're just going to teach you how to ride the bike. They're going to teach you how to delegate. And then once you learn how to delegate, then you can go do whatever it is you need to do in any way that you want, as long as you truly delegate. So just keep in mind that the things I'm telling you today are the training wheels. They're going to show you how to delegate. And there's 6 steps for this. But like I said, I got to tell you what delegation really is before I can tell you what the training wheels are. So delegation, in most people's minds, just like I know in your mind, you think it means assigning a task. Well, that's only 1/3 of delegation. Delegation actually means assigning a task, entrusting that person to do the task, and empowering them to do the task. It's not just assigning. See, we misunderstand delegation because we think that it's just say, "Hey, go do this." But it's more than just, "Hey, go do this." It's also, "Hey, go do this, and I trust you to do it. I'm entrusting this to you because there's an outcome that's really important, and I want to empower you to accomplish it. So here are the ways that you need to do it. Here's the resources available for you to accomplish this." That's delegation. It's assigning, entrusting, and empowering. And you need to remember that, because the training wheels won't work if you don't actually know what delegation is. Assign, entrust, empower, those 3 words. And if you're going to empower someone to do something, there's 3 questions that you always have to answer for the person you're delegating to. Not only what it is they got to be doing, of course, that's a given, but the 3 questions you got to answer. Number 1 is why. Why do they have to do the task? Why are you asking them to do the task? Why is that task important in the overall scheme of things? I was explaining to one of my employees a long time ago about how to do email. And we spent, goodness, it was like 5 hours just understanding how to do email. And it was mind numbing for me because I knew how to do email and I did them myself, but I'm showing another employee how to do it. And she was very sharp and she was smart and she was getting it. She understood it. But I remember at one point stopping in the middle of that whole assigning and showing her what to do. And I said, "Well, here's why you need to do it this way." And as soon as I said that and she understood why, she went, "Oh, now you tell me, is she going to do a better job before or after she got that aha moment?" After, for sure, because now she understands why it's important and why I'm saying you got to send it this way and do it this thing. That is what delegation is. You got to answer that why question. So when you assign that task to somebody, to entrust it and empower it to them, you've got to also explain why. The second question you've got to answer, not only why, but you got to answer how. Like, how do I have to do this? How is it going to be done? Are there certain resources and tools that are available that make this work better? You've got to answer the how. Now, depending upon the technical nature of the task, you may or may not answer all of the how. In other words, if it's very technical, you may have to go through all the specifics about how to do it. But generally speaking, it's just, here's some resources, here are the things that you need in order to be able to get this done. Here's how to do it. And then the third question, not only is why, not only how, but is when. And this is one that I think a lot of entrepreneurs miss, is we miss telling our delegee and the person we delegate to Like, when is this thing due? Is it a daily task? Is it due tomorrow? Is it due right now? Is it, hey, get around to it when you want to? Is it something that has to be done by a deadline because it affects a vendor relationship? If they don't understand when, they may do it perfectly, but just not at the right time, and you won't get the outcome that you desire. So that is delegation. So before we get to the training wheels, we got to understand that delegation is assigning and trusting and empowering. Delegation is answering the questions of why, how, and when. Now, here are the training wheels to delegation. There are 6 steps. I don't often encourage people to write notes or take notes when you're listening to a podcast, but this might be one of those times. And so you can roll this back and rewind to this spot into the video if you're watching on YouTube, or rewind and listen to it again on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you're listening to this. But here they are. There are 6 steps. The first step in delegation, learning to delegate, the training wheels to delegation, the first step is to make a top 10 list. And by this, I mean, I want you to sit down and really honestly make a list of the top 10 things you're doing on a regular basis somebody else could be doing. That requires honesty because you're probably doing everything yourself now, but write that top 10 list of things that other people could be doing. Now that you've got that list, the second step is you're going to choose one task from that list, only one, and you're going to delegate that to someone else for 30 days. So let's use Bob as our example. So we've made our list. We pull Bob in. We say, Bob, here's the deal, man. I'm going to delegate this one task to you. It's going to be for 30 days. That's it. Now, remember, delegation is assign and trust and power. It's answering why, how, and when. Don't just assign it. You got to do all the things right. So step 1 in your training wheels to delegation is make the top 10 list. Step 2 is you're going to pick one task and assign it or delegate it to someone for 30 days. Step 3 is you're going to meet with this person once a week, check in with them once a week, no more, no less. Now, if you do the math, you've signed for 30 days, you're only going to check in with them once a week for 30 days. That's only 4 check-ins. So let's say to Bob, for example, hey, Bob, here's the task. I'm delegating this to you. You're only going to do this for 30 days. I just need to test this out. We're going to check in every Thursday mornings at 9 o'clock, for example. And every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, I need you to come to the office, give me a report on how things are going. If you got questions, ask. Otherwise, I'm not going to be bothering you. You just go do your thing, right? Now, if you've assigned it and trusted and empowered it, if you've answered why, how, and when, Bob should go, gotcha, boss, and he's off. And he does his thing. So step 1, you made the top 10. Step 2, you picked one delegated for 30 days. Step 3, you're checking in once a week, no more or less. Now, you may be thinking, Jason, why only once a week? Why not more than that? Why not less than that? Well, if you check in more than once a week, you run the risk of doing what a lot of entrepreneurs, instead of delegate, they confiscate. They go and pull the task back because they don't like what they see. They don't like that they're not doing it right. You don't like that the person's not following through and getting the details the way you would do it. And you end up confiscating. And so if you check in more than once a week, you run the risk of confiscating. If you check in less than that, like if you just checked in the end of the 30 days, what you're doing is you're abdicating. You're not delegating. You're abdicating. You're giving up the right to see through that responsibility. And they're probably not going to perform well. So that's why the once a week check-in is really, really, really important. Now, step 4 is the one where I lose most people. This is the one where we go off the rails, the training wheels break, we fall over, we skin our knees. This is where people go, I'm not doing that. Okay, here it is. Now, at the check-in, step number 4, when you do your weekly check-in, you're only allowed to praise the person. You are not allowed to correct them. You can only praise them, not correct them. And here's what this might look like. So Bob shows up, he does his check-in, and he's not doing it right. He's not doing it the way you wanted him to do it. You have to look at Bob and find something in what he did to praise. You can't correct him. You might have to look at him and say, man, I really like that tie you're wearing today. Or I'm glad you showed up today. Or man, your hair looks good. You get a haircut? Something. You got to praise. You can't correct him, because if you correct him, he will again continue to rely on you to save the day. And the whole point of delegation is for you to get out of the saving the day business. It is your job to work on the business, to build it as an asset, not to be in the weeds of it. So you can't correct it. Now you may be thinking, well, what if something bad is happening? What if somebody's going to go to jail? What if the building's going to blow up? What if we lose money? Okay. Now you and I both know most of those things are never going to happen. But if they did, if what Bob did is going to lead somebody to go to jail, you obviously should step in and you should correct him. If the building's going to blow up, obviously step in. But here's the thing, that's not going to happen. You may say, well, what if we lose money? Well, you probably will lose money. There are going to be things that your employees do when you delegate that they're not going to do it as good as you. And they're not going to make as much revenue. It's not going to lead to as much revenue as what if you did it. But here's the thing. I would be willing to make the investment of a little lost money now to make more money later. Because if I am required to do all these tasks, I'm never going to be $1 trillion company. I'm never going to make the impact. We've got to get ourselves out of the weeds. So step 4 is the one where I lose most people, but not you, because you're still with me. What you're going to do is you're going to check in once a week and only praise, not correct. Now, step 5 is also a little more difficult for people to understand, but it's not that bad. If you got through step 4, you're going to be doing step 5 just fine. Step 5 is the 80% rule. The 80% rule says this. The 80% rule says that when Bob can do the task 80% of your expectations, then you are no longer ever going to do that task. It is now Bob's task. Now, why 80%? Well, it can't be 100% because Bob's not going to do it at 100% of your output. He's not going to do it 100% of your expectations, at least not now. I remember almost 10 years ago hiring a guy right out of college. He still works for me to this day. He's being positioned to be maybe the CEO of our company at some point. But here's the thing. When he first started, he was not very good at his job. And I delegated to him, and I just waited until he could get to 80% of my expectation, and then I let him run that department. And now he's running that department at over 100% of my expectation. That's what you're looking to do. Remember, these are training wheels. They lead us someplace. They get us to where we can ride the bike on our own. Now, step 1, let me do a quick review. Step 1, make a top 10 list. Step 2, pick one item, delegate it for 30 days. Step 3 is you're going to do check-ins once a week, no more, no less. And step 4, praise, don't correct. Step 5, 80% rule. And step 6, repeat these steps until your to-do list is empty. Now, you may be thinking, well, if I listed 10 things and it takes 30 days each time I do this, then doesn't that mean it's going to take 10 months to get this? No, because month 1, you're only assigning one task, but month 2, you may decide to assign 2 or 3 tasks, to delegate 2 or 3 things. And then month 4, you may do the rest. Whatever it takes, you're going to get there, and you're going to be riding the bike without dad holding it. You're going to be riding the bike without the training wheels. This is what delegation looks like. So let me do a quick review. Number 1, if you're going to learn how to delegate, you have to make that top 10 list. What are the 10 things that you're doing right now that other people could be doing?
Let's take a quick break to thank our amazing sponsors for making this podcast possible.
Hey, I want to talk with you about one of my favorite tools as a salesperson and as an entrepreneur, and that tool is Dub. I want you to imagine for a minute getting an email from somebody, and instead of just being the plain old crappy text in an email, rather than just having a bunch of HTML where it's pictures and stuff, what if it was a video? And the video had a little GIF, and it was playing right there in the email as soon as you opened it, and it had your name. Like it said, hello, Jason, check this out. And then you clicked play, and it played right there in your inbox in the window. And it was somebody trying to tell you how great you are, or how awesome they can help you, how good they can help you out. That is the power of video emails. I want you to try Dub out. I've been using it for years. I have closed countless millions of dollars in sales over the last 6 years or so using Dub, and you can do it too. All you got to do is go to therealjasonduncan.com/Dub. That's DUBB. Therealjasonduncan.com/Dub. Dub will help you make an impact in your sales through video. It's going to help you with, they've even got a CRM built into it. You can build landing pages. You can do campaigns, even SMS campaigns. You can set up automations to manage workflows and maximize conversions. And like I said, they've got an existing software platform inside Dub to take your CRM to the next level. Try this out. Get a free special just by being a listener to the podcast. Go to therealjasonduncan.com/Dub. Get 2 weeks to try it for free and 50% off your first 2 months. That's therealjasonduncan.com/Dub.
Thanks for listening to our sponsors. Now, back to the show.
Number 2, step 2 is you're going to pick one task alone, and you're going to delegate that to someone for 30 days. Step 3, you're going to check in with them once a week, no more, no less. Step 4, when you meet with them at the check-ins, you're only going to praise, you're not going to correct. Step 5 is the 80% rule. You're just looking for 80% of your expectations to be met. And then once that happens, it's off your list forever. And then step 6, keep repeating this list until you learn to ride the bike. Keep repeating this list until you become a master delegator. And once you become a master delegator, what happens is it unlocks the freedom of time that you've been looking for. All the time that you say you need is on the other side of delegation. If you want help doing this, I want you to apply to be part of one of my coaching programs. Go to therealjasonduncan.com/coaching and apply. I've got 2 programs that may be interesting to you. One is a clarity catalyst, where you come into Nashville and spend 2 days with me, and we do a deep dive into what issue or opportunity you've got before you and help you get started. Those are only $25,000 to do that with me for a couple of days. If you want to come in and work with me one-on-one for a year, plus get access to my mastermind, that's $125,000 for the year. I mean, my clients are seeing a 3 to 5 times ROI on that within the next 6 months. Why? Because all they need is a little tweak. They're already successful. They're doing great things. They just need a little push in a certain direction. Maybe it's learning to delegate. Maybe it's about systems and processes. But this is what I'm a master at. I can help you do that. These training wheels to delegation will unlock the key, is the key to unlock freedom of time for you. And if you're interested in working with me to do that, go to therealjasonduncan.com/coaching. I'll be happy to book a call with you and talk with you about how I might be able to get you where you want to go faster. Thank you for tuning in to this solo episode of The Root of All Success with me, The Real Jason Duncan. I invite you to tune in again next week when I talk with yet another very successful entrepreneur about his or her journey to success. And as always, until next time, I'm The Real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Attention business owners.
Attention business owners.
Feeling burnout from running your business? Uncertain if you're nearing burnout? Take our free 10-question business burnout test at businessburnouttest.com to discover where you stand. With just 10 quick questions, you'll learn how to immediately begin making changes to regain freedom and success. Cut your daily operations time in half. Improve your quality of life and prepare your business for your future exit without losing revenue or profit. Visit businessburnouttest.com now and take the test. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.